Welcome to An Author's Journey, Student Edition, where a prominent student author chats with us about their journey as a writer. Our featured guest today is Vivian Yuan, a junior at Ridgewood High School who is a graphics editor for the high school news club, the Ridgewood High School High Times. In addition, she is a member of the National Art Honor Society, Flute Ensemble, and Asian Festival. Arts education, both writing and visual arts, is something Vivian holds dear to her heart because it allows her to express her feelings without any sense of judgment. Vivian is a winner of the Regional Scholastic Art and Writing Gold Key in ninth and 10th grade. She plans to apply for a summer writing program to continue to follow her passions for painting and writing. Moreover, Vivian is the winner of the New Jersey Council of Teachers of English Writing Award for essays and the companion award, the New Jersey Governor's Award in Arts and Education. Vivian, welcome to An Author's Journey, Student Edition.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, I want to jump right into this. So let's begin today's broadcast by focusing on your NJCTE winning essay entitled 2 Weeks, My COVID Diary. We all went through a lot of craziness with COVID, so I'm sure we'll be able to relate to this. You have captured the feelings of many of us who have had to deal with COVID-19 in that variety of ways. So would you mind reading to us your opening entry dated January 26th, 2020?
Sure. All right. January 26, 2020. A frantic morning before school, as always. Halfway through freshman year, life is great. On the car ride, I hear voices on the radio, serious ones. A new virus is racing through China. Authorities are advising caution. Michael, I do believe this virus will be a genuine threat. Nonsense. Our medicine is too advanced. It will all be over in a few weeks. Oh, how I wish Michael had been right. 2118.
Now, who is Michael? Is that a brother or a friend?
Michael is actually, oh, can I restart the question?
Sure. Let me start again. We'll wait a couple seconds. I noticed you mentioned someone named Michael. Who exactly is that?
Michael is the reporter on my mom's car radio that day. His name just stuck in my mind ever since.
Okay. So let me ask you, what inspired you to write this piece about the pandemic?
Well, every time I read about COVID in the news, it was always talking about the case numbers, and I felt that it wasn't very personal what I was reading. So I thought, I heard about this contest, and I thought, well, maybe it's my time to share about how this personally affected me, despite my family members not being affected directly with COVID, but it still impacted all of our lives, socially. So I just thought this would be fun to write.
So you kind of brought a human element to everything.
Yeah,
It's nice. I like that.
Thanks.
What was the most difficult part for you during the creation of these diary entries that span 2 weeks?
It was definitely hard to talk about how it affected me emotionally, not seeing my friends, and the April entry where I mentioned seeing my friend for the first time, that was probably the hardest one for me to write.
You know, I noticed that a lot of kids, no matter what age, really wanted to be back with their friends. And I know that as a teacher, I wanted to be back in school, not only to be with my students, but to be teaching them face to face rather than over the internet, which is a little bit impersonal. And I also just like the fact that I could be with colleagues. We were in the building. We were kind of sharing an experience. And it felt good to see kids talking to each other, being in the hallway and having a conversation rather than having to sit at a screen all day, which can't be an easy thing to do. That's got to be a challenge for you.
Yeah, definitely. I really missed just seeing my friends in the hallways and having just spontaneous conversations, because Whenever we text online, it's like it has to be deliberate, and it just felt like more scary and less personal, like you mentioned. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, you've written a number of these entries over a 2 week period. And is there a favorite that you did? Is there one that's very impactful or you feel is the most effective one that you wrote? I know I'm making you think now. It's like a pop quiz.
Um, yeah, I think March 23rd, 2020, the one about my history teacher, because I really liked history class during like in person, but it was really hard to like doing online because we would go into these breakout rooms, and the breakout rooms just felt so like hard to talk in, and I really missed enjoying history because the Zoom is just isn't the same.
It had to be tough also because you're in there with just a very small group and you lose the conversation that's going on with the remaining groups in the breakout rooms. That can't be easy.
Yeah, definitely. Because I remember during in person, sometimes like two groups would like merge and start talking with each other, and it just was more fun to see how conversations could flow more spontaneously during in person, and Zoom just doesn't allow for that.
Now, you wrote this one piece about the pandemic. Did you do any other pieces that are similar to this?
Yeah, I remember I also wrote a poem about how Zoom affected more me and my like immediate family, not so much school and my friends. So yeah, I did write other pieces.
And do you feel that the one that you sent in to NJCTE was your best?
Yes,
What
I
set
think.
that apart?
Oh, sorry.
What set that apart from the others?
Um, I felt the format of this being more of a diary felt more personal, and I thought more people could relate to it better. And yeah,
And it's that human element. We were talking before the program started about just that.
yeah,
You don't want to be removed from your friends, and especially in teenage years, there's a lot of power in the connection with friends. The social aspect is one of the most powerful driving aspect in a learning experience, and it's one of the things that helps to make us human. When we take that away, boy, that's difficult, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. One thing I was grateful for was that it didn't happen near the beginning of freshman year because, as a freshman, you don't really know as many people, but I'm glad I got to meet like my classmates before this happened.
Yeah, that would be really difficult. Or if it happened in, let's say, the end of your junior or senior year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I always feel so terrible for everyone who missed like prom and all those like really fun once in a lifetime events.
And prom online is just not a prom. It really,
Yeah.
it's an attempt to get you together somehow, but it really is not a prom.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me ask you just about writing in general. Have you always been interested in writing?
That's a really interesting question because I actually wasn't really interested until like COVID happened.
Wow.
Um, yeah. My sister I knew always liked writing, and my mom tried to get me to write, but I didn't really feel the need to until like all these like COVID happened and all these emotions that I just wanted to write down. So yeah, I do enjoy it now.
And is this something that you're going to continue to pursue?
Yes, I think so.
Now, as a writer, what do you feel is your biggest challenge?
I think my biggest challenge as a writer is finding topics to write about because this is obviously a very personal piece. And I felt if whenever I wanted to like write fiction or something, I didn't really know what to say. So yeah.
If a teacher gives you a prompt, do you find that it's easier to write because you have a definite direction to go? Or do you feel that you really want to have that push inside, that passion bursting before you start to write?
Um, I really do like to have like a passion about what I want to write about, but sometimes I understand like um for like timed prompts in class, I can't do that. So it's kind of a mix of both, I think.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, every writer claims to have writer's block at one time or another. Do you get writer's block?
Definitely.
I do too. And what do you do when you get writer's block?
Whenever I get writer's block, I take out a pencil and paper, and this is something my English teacher told me last year, and I just start writing. Sometimes I'll start writing like I can't think of anything to write about, and always I just happen to find like I just keep writing and I happen to find something to talk about, and after like a minute or two, I stop writing and then I look back, and sometimes I get an idea.
Now, is this advice you think would work for other people as well?
I really do. I was skeptical of it when I first heard of it, but I just tried it out and I did it multiple times and it really worked.
Okay. Now, we know that Stephen King and many other writers have said that in order to be an effective writer, you first have to be an avid reader because you need to process the whole structure of the language and hear the way that different authors use literary devices and poetic devices and tone, mood, uh, effect, build suspense, uh, use wonderful description. So I know that you're a serious writer, so you must have a favorite writer. Who is that?
My favorite writer is definitely the author of the Percy Jackson series, Rick Riordan, because I found it really inspiring how he chose to base the series off of how his son had ADHD and dyslexia. And these topics weren't really talked about in children's books before. And I really liked how he expanded in later series to include more diversity and how he's always like adapting his works to fit what he's learning about more and more. So I found him really inspiring.
I'm sensing that you're a writer who goes first to the heart and then you let that connect to your brain rather than the other way around. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And is that kind of you as a person as well?
Yeah, I think so because when I read, like I really get emotionally attached to characters and I feel um I prefer like emotions to logic usually. So yeah.
And I think that's a wise choice because you're writing from your strength. And every
Mhm.
author will tell you, write from your strength, not from your weakness. And that's good advice in anything you do. Now, let me ask you a final question. I know there are folks listening to this and they're hearing some wisdom from you at your very young age. What advice would you give for aspiring writers, no matter what age they happen to be?
I would say to write genuinely from your heart because no matter how skillful you are with language, it's always apparent when something isn't genuine. So I think just be like truthful and I think it'll really work out.
Vivian Yuan, thank you for taking an author's journey with us today on this special student edition. You are truly a talented writer and student. Best of luck in what appears to be a very bright future for you.
Thank you so much.
Well, that concludes our journey for this day. Tune in again for more conversations with more student authors of interest. For an Author's Journey Student Edition, I'm Joe Pizzo. Have a wonderful day. Well, that concludes our journey for this day. Tune in again for more conversations with more student authors of interest. For an Author's Journey Student Edition, I'm Joe Pizzo. Have a wonderful day.